From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday evening led the Bagong Pilipinas Serbisyo Fair or BPSF Agency Summit 2024 held at the Philippine International Convention Center or PICC in Pasay City with the theme Gabi ng Pagkakaisa, or in English, Night of Unity. The summit celebrates the successful hosting of the BPSF, the country's largest government service caravan, held in 21 provinces nationwide in a single year. In his speech, the president said, BPSF became a symbol of providing service to the Filipino people, especially those in far-flung areas in the country that sometimes does not reach the assistance and service of the government. According to the chief executive, local government units or LGUs accepted this program with open arms so that government services can reach its citizens. President Marcos, meanwhile, thanked volunteers for continuing their jobs to provide service to the public. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Ipinagdiriwang natin ngayon ang gabi ng pagkakaisa, ang tagumpay ng Bagong Pilipinas Serbisyo Fair. Ang BPSF ay naging simbolo ng ating pagbibigay serbisyo sa ating mga kababayan. Lalong-lalo na yung mga nasa malalayong lugar ng bansa na kung minsan hindi nararamdaman ang tulong at serbisyo ng pamahalaan. Bukod pa niyan, ito rin ay kumakatawan sa pagkakaisa ng iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno at ng lokal na pamahalaan. Sa ilalim nito, tayo ay nagtutulungan upang mailapit ang serbisyo sa taong bayan. Mula doon sa amin, sa Ilocos Norte, hanggang sa Tawi-Tawi, nalibot na ng BPSF ang iba't ibang probinsya. Nakadaan na ang BPSF sa 21 probinsya sa loob lamang ng 1 taon. Dahil sinimula natin to, wala pang 1 taon eh. Nakapagbigay tayo ng lagpas 12 bilyong piso na halaga ng serbisyo at halos 5 bilyong piso na tulong na pinansyal sa humigit kumulang 2 milyong benepisyaryo. Nakapaghatid tayo ng bakuna, permit, birth certificate, SSS registration, pati na yung application para sa mga utang, PhilHealth registration, kasama na pati ang konsulta, driver's license, NBI clearance, pasaporte, at marami pang iba na pangangailangan ng taong bayan na nahihirapan dahil malalayo ang mga tanggapan ng pamahalaan, lalo na kung sa regional gagawin. Kaya naisip namin, ito ang nakita ko at naging matagumpay naman dun sa amin sa Ilocos Norte, tayo na lang ang pupunta dun para hindi na mahirapan ang tao. And that is the main concept behind BPSF, is that we perfectly understand. Nag-umpisa yan sa ospital. Bakit yung mga pasyente pumupunta sa ospital, masyado nang late, masyado nang maluba ang kanilang sakit. O minsan, wala nang magawa. Basta't gagawin na lang komportable yung tao. Dahil napakahirap. Napakahirap iwanan ng trabaho, napakahirap iwanan ng ang mga bata, napakahirap maghanap ng sasakyan, lalo na kung malalayo, mahal ang pamasahe. Kaya binaliktad natin, ba't sila pa ang pupunta sa atin? Kaya ito, ngayon, nakita natin ang BPSF. Yan ang naging buhay ng pag-iisip na yan. At sa aking palagay, napakaganda ang naging resulta. Patunay lamang ito na marami tayong magagawa sa bayan basta tayo'y nagkakaisa. Kaya kaya natin baguhin, pabilisin at ilapit sa mga mamayan ang serbisyo ng pamahalaan. Sabi nga nila, basta't gugustuhin natin, mahahanapan natin ng paraan. Yan ang tinatawag na asikasong Pinoy. I-apply natin ngayon sa pamahalaan. At dahil ginusto at isinapuso ninyo, naging matagumpay ang BPSF. Kaya naman, para sa ating mga lingkod bayan, local government unit at ibang katuwang sa adhikayang ito, salamat naman sa inyong dedikasyon at walang sawang paglilingkod at ang inyong sakripisyo. Congratulations. Ang pagpapakita ninyo ng sipag at kalinga, naaarawan man, nakabilad man sa araw, o kagaya ng sinasabi ni Speaker, kundi naman basa sa pawis, nababasa naman ng ulan, maihatid lamang ang serbisyo publiko, ay hindi ito matatawaran. Sana ay mapanatili natin ang walang sawang paglilingkod at bigyang halaga ang tiwala sa atin ng taong bayan. Sa ating mga kababayan, para sa inyo po ang Bagong Pilipinas Serbisyo Fair. Nawa po sa pamamagitan ng BPSF ay nakatulong kami upang makabuti sa inyong mga kabuhayan. Ang iba't ibang sangay at ahensya ng gobyerno ay nagtutulungan at nagkakaisa upang matugunan ng mas maayos at mas mabilis ang mga pangangailangan ng taong bayan. Sa katunayan, ang ilang mga lalawigan ng ating nabisita ay nagsasagawa ng kanilang sarili na tinatawag na ngayon na mini BPSF. Bukod sa mga napuntahan na, sasadyain pa natin ang 61 probinsya sa bansa. At dahil nakita natin ang kahalagahan ng programang ito, lain din nating magtayo ng Bagong Pilipinas Servicio Center sa ilang mga lalawigan para sa tuloy-tuloy na pagproseso ng mga pangangailangan ng ating mga residente. Ngunit hindi pa rin dito natatapos ang trabaho natin. Hinihiling ko sa lahat na ang ating mga iba't ibang may ahensya ng pamahalaan, kasama lalo na ang local government unit, na patuloy pa nating pagbutihin, pabilisin at palawakin ang mga serbisyo upang maabot natin ang lahat ng ating mga kababayan nasan man sila naroon. Gamitin natin ng lubos ang teknolohiya upang lalo pang mailapit sa mga Pilipino ang pamahalaan. Hiyakatin din natin ang ating mga mamamayan na sumali dito sa Serbisyo Fair at gamitin ang pagkakataon na mapabuti ang kanilang paghanap buhay at ang kanilang pagtulong sa kanilang sarili at sa kanilang pamilya. Maaasahan po ninyo na sa Bagong Pilipinas, ating itataguyod ang magandang kinabukasan sa bawat isang Pilipino. Maging inspirasyon natin lahat ang tagumpay ng BPSF. Patuloy tayo na magsikap sa pagbuo ng isang bagong Pilipinas, kung saan ang bawat Pilipino ay may pagkakataong umunlad, magtagumpay sa buhay at makatulong sa iba na nangangailangan din. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay kayong lahat. Mabuhay ang BPSF. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday met with Elder Patrick Kiron, Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in a courtesy call at the study room in Malacañang Palace. Elder Kiron was accompanied by Elder Carlos Revillo Jr., incoming Philippines Area President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Heidi Fajardo, Philippines Area Communication Director of the Church. The LDS was established in the United States in 1830 and currently has around 16 million members in 160 countries, including the Philippines. The 63-year-old British religious leader has been a general authority of the church since 2010 and was a member of the presidency of the 70 from August 2017 to December 2023. Kieran is currently the junior and 15th most senior apostle in the LDS.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on August 6 appointed former Department of Energy or DOE Undersecretary Alexander Lopez as spokesperson of the National Maritime Council or NMC. Lopez, a former military officer, will speak on behalf of the NMC on issues surrounding the West Philippine Sea or WPS. The NMC was created by the President through the issuance of Executive Order or EO number 57 on March 25th in an effort to strengthen the Philippines' maritime security and increase maritime domain awareness among Filipinos amid China's aggressive tactics and threats in the WPS. The NMC, chaired by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, is tasked to formulate policies and strategies to ensure a unified, coordinated, and effective governance framework for the country's maritime security and domain awareness. In a Malacañang briefing Tuesday, Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns, General Andres Centino said, Vice Admiral Lopez's designation was issued to have a unified messaging on issues related to the WPS. The retired Vice Admiral, for his part, gave a statement on the recent incident wherein two Philippine Coast Guard or PCG vessels were rammed by Chinese Coast Guard vessels that damaged the two PCG ships in Escoda Shoal while conducting a regular and routine logistics mission in the WPS on August 18th. Lopez said China also violated international maritime laws, particularly the Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, or COLREGS, and the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS.
The Philippine Coast Guard, using BRP Bagakay, or MRRV 4410, and BRP Cape Engaño, MRV 4411, conducted a regular and routine logistics mission in the West Philippine Sea in 18 August 2024. The early morning of 19 August, the Chinese Coast Guard vessels rammed and damaged the two Philippine Coast Guard vessels in the vicinity of Escoda Shoal. These unprofessional and dangerous actions of the Chinese Coast Guard vessels were in violation of international law, including UNCLOS and the 1972 Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, or COLREGS. These illegal actions do not contribute to confidence-building measures necessary for the improvement of relations on the basis of mutual respect and for a rules-based international order. Hence, the Philippines urges China to refrain from aggressive actions and adhere to international law. The Philippines expresses serious concern over the deliberate harassment and infringement by China against Philippine sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction in the West Philippine Sea. The government remains committed to the President's directive for a diplomatic approach in a peaceful resolution of disputes. The Philippines will continue to uphold its rights and jurisdictions in the West Philippine Sea, sustain our routine maritime activities, and protect its territory and maritime zones from environmental degradation and other illegal activities.
Vice Admiral Lopez said that the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, is considering extending its provisional agreement with China to cover more of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ. The DFA is also weighing the option of filing a diplomatic protest against these dangerous maneuvers. Meanwhile, Lopez said the PCG is currently gathering evidence to debunk China's claim that a Philippine vessel deliberately collided with a Chinese vessel in an unprofessional and dangerous manner.
Actually, the Philippine Coast Guard is just gathering all the evidence, all the pieces of evidence that would debunk the claim of China. And even, di ba, nakita nyo, they showed a video, parang the intent of that is to tell the world na, oh, kita mo, kami ang binangga ng China, ng Philippines rather. But again, we'll just wait for all the documents, pictures and videos that the Philippine Coast Guard will release, maybe later on, showing otherwise. And it's just a matter of, ang problema kasi, what the Coast Guard vessels at the ground, the lies that their assets on the ground are issuing, pagdating sa taas, kine-carry. Kung titignan nyo, it's this whole halos parehong words, parehong statement. But in contrary, we are very deliberate in coming up with factual details so that, it's a more responsibility to our public and to a certain extent to our international audience that this is really what happened. Then let the public decide.
National Maritime Council, or NMC spokesperson Alexander Lopez.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Commission on Appointments, or CA, on Tuesday approved the ad interim appointment of Hans Leo Kakdak as Secretary of the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW. Senator Grace Poe, during the plenary session, cited Kakdak's over 23 years of public service experience in the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, or POEA, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, and until his designation as Undersecretary and eventually as Officer in Charge of the DMW. Poe said Kakdak's vast understanding of labor and migration policies, coupled with his passion for serving and protecting the interest and welfare of overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, is truly worthy of admiration by everyone in the service. Senator Joel Villanueva, who expressed his support to the appointment as co-sponsor, recalled how Kakdak ensured that OFWs receive needed assistance from the government during the pandemic. Villanueva said that the Senate believes that Secretary Hans is the most deserving of this position as a son of OFWs. Kakdak's father was a World War II veteran who worked as a sound engineer, while his mother was a caregiver and daycare worker in the United States.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday greeted his wife, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, on her 65th birthday, expressing his gratitude for everything she has done for him and their children. In a social media post, the president said, "The First Lady deserves to slow down and be celebrated by those who holds her dearest," adding that the chief executive and his sons, Sandro, Simon, and Vincent, are most grateful for her. The First Lady was born on August 21, 1959 in Manila to Manuel Araneta Jr. and Milagros Cacho. She first met President Marcos in New York while studying and working as a lawyer in 1988. The two got married at the San Francesco Convent in Fiesole, Italy on April 17, 1993. The first couple has 3 sons: Ilocos Norte 1st District Representative Ferdinand Alexander, Joseph Simon, and William Vincent. The First Lady advocates education, culture, and traditional arts and crafts. She also initiated the renovation of the old buildings at Malacañang Palace in Manila to transform them into new tourism assets of the Philippines. Some of her projects include the Lab for All, which provides free healthcare services, Likha for the promotion of local arts and crafts, the Maharlika Hangar, and the Presidential Library.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday said that heads will roll following the confirmation of the office of the Executive Secretary that former Banban Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo was able to leave the country. According to the President, the departure of Guo undermines the country's justice system and condescends public trust. The chief executive assured that the government will expose those behind the escape of Guo who betrayed the public's trust and helped her get away. A full-scale investigation has now been launched, and at the same time, President Marcos assured that those who have knowledge of the escape will answer to the law and be suspended. President Marcos Jr. said there is no place in public office for anyone who puts personal interest first before serving the Filipino people.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday met with the Department of Health or DOH to discuss the monkeypox or Mpox situation in the country, which was declared by the World Health Organization or WHO as a global health emergency. DOH Secretary Chodoro Herbosa clarified that Mpox is not an epidemic just like COVID-19 and is not as contagious. According to Herbosa, there were only 10 cases of Mpox in the country since December last year, and all recovered from the disease. The President held the meeting to make sure that the DOH is on top of the situation following the latest case wherein a 33-year-old male with no travel history outside the country contracted the virus. Secretary Herbosa said the 10th laboratory-confirmed Mpox case of a man who had close, intimate contact 3 weeks before the onset of Mpox symptoms was reported to the DOH on August 18th. The symptoms started more than a week ago with fever, which was followed 4 days later by findings of a distinct rash on the face, back, nape, trunk, groin, as well as palms and soles, according to the DOH. The case was seen in a government hospital, where specimens were collected from the skin lesions and tested via real-time polymerase chain reaction or PCR test. The test results came back positive for monkeypox viral DNA. The DOH said common symptoms of Mpox are a skin rash or mucosal lesions which can last 2 to 4 weeks. The rashes are accompanied by fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, low energy, and swollen lymph nodes. Mpox can be transmitted to humans through close, intimate contact with someone infectious, with contaminated materials like used clothes or utensils, or with infected animals. The health secretary added that keeping hands clean with soap and water or with alcohol-based sanitizers will help prevent the disease from spreading.
Dateline Malacañang.
Following the directive of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to continue monitoring closely areas and individuals vulnerable to monkeypox or Mpox, the local government of Quezon City announced that the country's first case of Mpox this year, a 33-year-old male patient with no travel history, visited 2 establishments in E. Rodriguez, Quezon City. In a press briefing Wednesday, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte said, "The patient is not a resident of Quezon City. However, he went to a dermatology clinic for a checkup and a massage spa." Belmonte said the spa, which the patient visited last August 11th, was illegally operating with an expired business permit after it failed to secure a license from the mayor's office for the current year. The Quezon City mayor added that the establishment doesn't even have ancillary permits like sanitary permit, environmental clearance, and fire inspection certificates. The city's Business Permit and Licensing Department, or BPLD, has ordered the temporary closure of AED Infinity Wellness Spa Incorporated until further notice. Meanwhile, the 3 spa workers who live in the city and are affected by the closure will receive financial assistance. The local government, meanwhile, assured the public there's no reason to be alarmed as it formed a quick response team to ensure stringent contact tracing and monitoring to prevent the further spread of Mpox. Quezon City reported 41 contacts of the Mpox positive patient, with around 28 individuals considered type 1 contacts. A contact may be considered type 1 when there's direct physical contact with skin lesions or sexual contact from the Mpox positive patient or confirmed animal case. According to City Epidemiology Surveillance Unit, or CESU head Rolando Cruz, the 28 type 1 contacts will be subjected to 21 days of quarantine to avoid transmission. In the meantime, 13 individuals were either advised to not report to work or observe strict self-monitoring as they fall under type 2 and type 3 contacts. Type 2 contact is classified when there's direct contact with a positive patient's body fluids, while type 3 contacts are individuals sharing common space with the patient. To date, no symptoms have been reported among the 41 contacts of the said patient.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak, assured heightened protection and just compensation for Filipino healthcare workers in Singapore with the recent signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between the two countries. In a Malacañang Insider hosted by Presidential Communications Office, or PCO Director Chris Villonco, Secretary Kakdak said the MOU heightens the protection, ensures fair, ethical and sustainable recruitment for overseas Filipino workers or OFW nurses. Kakdak said the MOW will also ensure a just compensation for Filipino healthcare workers comparable with their Singaporean counterparts. To recall, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Singapore President Tharman Shanmugaratnam personally witnessed the exchange of the MOU. Besides this, the DMW said there are also steps to effectively reintegrate nurses.
Well, first of all, this could be perhaps the first bilateral labor agreement signed between the Philippines and Singapore. Usually would be on the level of ASEAN multilateral or regional arrangements. So that's a milestone in itself. And the agreement essentially is a measure of protection for our Filipino health workers in Singapore. They already are amply protected, but this one heightens the protection, ensures fair, ethical, and sustainable recruitment for our OFW nurses. There are mutual interest measures such as exchange of experiences and knowledge transfers and scholarships in store for budding nurses who would wish to perhaps work in Singapore, well, work here and then work in Singapore. There is a guarantee of just, fair, and commensurate compensation. Very, very important. Fair treatment, as it is called, of nurses in Singapore, meaning our nurses will be paid similar to their Singaporean nurse counterparts. So there will be no discrimination in that sense. And also there are measures to effectively reintegrate our nurses. So all told, it's a measure of protection, of safer labor mobility for our nurses, for the mutual interest of both sides, mutual interest of the Singaporean health system as well as the Philippine health system and the Philippine economy. President always, amongst government officials and agencies and with the private sector, has always emphasized that today's bilateral labor relations, especially with healthcare workers, should not just entail the rights-based approach in terms of protecting the rights of workers, but look at developmental, market development measures, such as ensuring that there will be no dearth of nurses here for our very own healthcare system, as we know from the COVID days, COVID years, that we really, really need healthcare workers. So there are measures to strengthen our labor market in terms of healthcare workers. That is why measures such as scholarships and measures such as partnerships between institutions, whether healthcare or medical or healthcare educational institutions, are in store. After this agreement, there will also be a counterpart agreement with Sected Herbosa and the Singaporean side, with the Singaporean health minister, along these lines as well. So it's not just ensuring fair, safe labor mobility, but also ensuring what you had mentioned, the development of our own talent pool, talent base, so that our healthcare system is spoken for in terms of our healthcare needs.
Department of Migrant Workers or DMW Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA on Wednesday said Brazilian Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira is set to witness the signing of 3 bilateral agreements in the Philippines, including one on education, when he goes on an official visit on August 23rd. The DFA said the visit is the first of its kind by a Brazilian foreign minister since the establishment of the diplomatic relations nearly 80 years ago, marking a pivotal moment in the two nations' ties. During a bilateral meeting, Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo and Vieira will assess the current state of relations and consider opportunities to advance the Philippine-Brazil ties. According to the DFA, among the agreements slated to be signed during the visit cover technical cooperation, cooperation in the peaceful uses of outer space, and education. The DFA said Minister Vieira's visit signifies the great importance both countries attach to the bilateral relationship. The two top diplomats will also exchange views on a range of issues, including trade and investments, cooperation in agriculture, defense, and in the multilateral arena. The Philippines and Brazil have intensified official engagements through the holding of high-level exchanges such as the 6th bilateral consultation meeting in 2023.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday held another ceremony to honor Filipino athletes who competed in the 2024 Paris Olympics. These are professional golfer Dottie Ardina and gymnast Alea Cruz Finnegan, Emma Malabuyo, and Levi Ruivivar, who were not able to attend the Heroes Welcome in Malacañang last week. Each of the Olympians received 1 million pesos each. In a media interview after the event, the president said there was a mix-up. The athletes were not in the country and were informed rather late, but they were supposed to be there at the Heroes Welcome. The Filipino athletes were also given a presidential citation for their participation in the Games. President Marcos said he was happy they were able to do something extra for those that did not make it to the first round. Also present in the ceremony at the palace were the athletes' relatives. Like the other non-medalists, the athletes will receive 2 million pesos each from the Office of the President and Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR. After handing out their incentives, the chief executive even took the time to have a chat with the athletes. On August 13th, 17 of the 22-strong Philippine team returned to Manila and were greeted with a hero's welcome.
Nagtataka kayo na meron kaming extra. Baka nagtataka kayo ba't meron kaming extra event after dumating na yung mga ibang Olympian. Ay dahil nung nagpa-reception kami dito, wala sila nagbiyahe. At nagka-mix up, huli na yung pagkasabi sa kanila, hindi na sila nakauwi. Kaya sabi namin, pareho naman yung kanilang pinaghirapan. So dapat isama rin natin dun sa lahat ng mga pagtanggap sa ating mga Olympian na ating ginawa. Sayang lang, hindi din nakabutan yung parada. Pero at least lahat na everything else nagawa nila. So we're happy we were able to do something extra for those that did not get to the first one. Okay.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday conferred the Order of Sikatuna with the rank of Datu or Grand Cross Silver distinction on His Excellency Luc Serge Gustave Eugene Veron, Ambassador of the European Union or EU to the Philippines, during his farewell call at the study room in Malacañang Palace. This prestigious award recognizes Ambassador Veron's significant contributions to strengthening the partnership between the Philippines and the EU. The citation highlights Ambassador Veron's outstanding service in international relations and his role as a competent representative of the EU in the Philippines. The EU ambassador has been instrumental in promoting high-level exchanges and facilitating numerous cooperation agreements, particularly in development cooperation. These agreements have supported the Philippines' priorities in areas such as climate change, the green economy, energy, digital connectivity, and maritime cooperation. Ambassador Veron has also championed the rule of law and a rules-based international order, contributing to peace and development in Mindanao. His efforts have supported the peace process and the transition of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM. Furthermore, Ambassador Veron has played a crucial role in providing humanitarian assistance to the Philippines during natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Friday graced the second day of the Local Governance Summit 2024 held at the Philippine International Convention Center, or PICC, in Pasay City. Spearheaded by the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, and the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, or ULAP, the summit seeks to enhance collaboration between national and local governments. With the theme, LGUs sa Bagong Pilipinas, Smart, Resilient, Driven, the event brings together local leaders and stakeholders to explore innovative approaches and share best practices in governance and public service. It also aims to update local government units, or LGUs, and stakeholders on the latest developments in governance, share best practices on digital transformation and climate resilience, and strengthen LGU capabilities in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Key topics include digital transformation in governance, smart infrastructure and urban design, climate resilience, environmental governance, public health and safety, as well as transparency, accountability, and community engagement. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
I am always happy to be with you, especially with the local government executives, because I always consider local government to be, in fact, my natural habitat. So I am happy especially that we are here to convene the Local Governance Summit of 2024. The intent of which is to explore and to employ the various ways of capacitating our localities and local executives to serve our people better. I thank the Department of the Interior and Local Government, the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, the concerned national agencies, government, national government, and local government, our esteemed friends from the United Nations, and the other international organizations for bringing this summit to fruition. This is an opportunity for each of us to reflect on the huge responsibility that we all hold in our hands. The ability to transform our respective communities and the lives of those that are in those communities under the banner of Bagong Pilipinas. Your strong presence here today, ang sabi sa akin ni Gobdax, hanggang malapit na sa 4,000 ang nakarating dito sa ating summit. That demonstrates your solidarity with the administration's governance agenda, as reflected in this Assembly's theme that calls for our local governments to be smart, to be resilient, and to be driven. In this age of technological advancement, it has become imperative to utilize all the latest tools and strategies to explore and improve our daily operations. It applies to areas such as infrastructure, urban planning, even in the simple process of applying for a business permit. I think we are all familiar with the delays that sometimes people have to suffer for very simple documentation. Well, I think the the digital world is going to provide us the solutions to those problems and to make us more efficient, and so that the process of interchange between our people and the government, both at the local and the national level, becomes better, becomes easier and more efficient. To bolster this digitalization of local processes, our government is conducting caravans nationwide to promote the adoption by LGUs of the eLGU system as their electronic business one-stop shop, making government transactions convenient for the general public. Truly, in a time when communities and societies have embraced digitalization, there is no excuse for governments, national or local, to allow themselves to be left behind. It is incumbent upon us to promote these smart solutions, such as innovative technologies and strategies, so we can maximize its advantages, especially in the face of challenges that threaten the overall well-being of our constituents. Currently, we are experiencing a surge in leptospirosis and dengue cases attributed by the DOH to improper garbage disposal and poor waste management. Our solid waste management problem is a major factor that caused flooding as well in the metro during the onslaught of Typhoon Karina and the southwest monsoon in the last month. Local chief executives must work harder to utilize environmentally sound methods and waste minimization measures to protect public health and, of course, our environment. So I urge you all to lead aggressive information dissemination campaign to promote a healthy lifestyle and prevent diseases, such as a campaign to remind our people, especially children, against swimming in flood waters and to practice personal hygiene to mitigate the spread of leptospirosis, mpox, and any other illnesses. The Kalinisan program, led by our DILG, reflects our earnest efforts in improving our waste disposal and management to ensure a clean, healthy, and safe environment for all. I call on the LGUs to continue your active participation in this initiative. This has always been a problem for our urban communities especially, where how do we get rid of the tons of waste that accumulate and to not leave them in the environment and to remove them from the exposure to people in their day-to-day lives. And that is something that we really have to look into and finally come to a solution to that problem. As I have always said, sometimes we blame technology. Because of technology, because of the improved ways that we can do in terms of production, in terms of packaging, this increases the amount of garbage that is generated. And I say that's because of technology. But once again, I also look to technology to provide the answers. There are so many schemes, there are so many proposals, there are so many new technologies that are being developed precisely to solve this problem. And I urge you all to look into them as quickly and deeply as possible so that we can finally solve this problem. The national government, this is a local government mandate, but the national government is here always to assist and to find ways for you in your specific communities how we can improve this situation. And to recognize our lupon, which makes an invaluable impact on the peace and order in the community. I recently signed Executive Order number 68, which strengthens the Lupong Tagapamayapang Incentives Award System and reorganizing the National Awards Committee. Under the new EO, the number of award categories increased from 4 to 10, which includes the Hall of Fame and Peace Champion Awards. This year, we also target to issue the amending Executive Order number 138, Series 2021, with clearer parameters on the functions, services, and facilities that are to be devolved. We have been working on this for a good long while, and I think we have found a formula wherein we divide the funding according to the way that we determine services belong to as a responsibility to the national government, other services belong to the local government. And in that way, we are able to satisfy the needs as best as we can for both the national government and most importantly for the local government, as the Mandanas ruling really directs itself towards the improvement in the local government situation. Once we have clearly defined the parameters of devolution, our LGUs will have greater capability to implement and localize the sustainable development goals. I hope our local leaders will actively participate in these summit sessions. I hope you are inspired by the innovations and best practices from the international community, as shared from our partners and allies from South Korea, from Indonesia, Japan, and other international organizations. This is the moment to rise as effective stewards of your respective localities, to drive progress in your communities, to nurture a culture of collaboration amongst concerned stakeholders. Know that we rely on the guidance and service of our local officials to uplift the quality of life of our citizens. So I look forward that you will continue to be accountable, reliable, and efficient in bringing our people closer to the opportunities that they all deserve. Your cooperation with the national government is invaluable, for it is only with your help that we can achieve our shared aspirations. So as leaders, let us remain worthy of the trust and confidence of our fellow Filipinos. Once again, thank you all very much. To all the organizers and the attendees of this summit, to all those who have come to attend, and together, I believe we can transform our nation into a more peaceful and prosperous Bagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radio Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.820 MHz, and 12.010 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radio Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radio Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.